Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back again to Recap Kickback. It's me, your host, Chappell, and we are here with a special edition of Recap Kickback because last year I asked, what is it that you want me to talk about? Is there anything that we missed in 2024 that we should have talked about? And a number of people, we got emails, we got comments, and you got to talk about the madness. And so, with me to talk about the madness on Netflix, starring Colman Domingo, I had to bring in my boy once again to kick off the new year as well. Tyrone, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Yeah, we are in 2025. This is my first recap kickback
It
back.
is.
So I'm excited. I love this show. I was very hyped to talk about it. I was very hyped to watch it with the fam. Watch it with my brothers as well. So yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah, so because you watched the whole thing, right? Or did you just
I
watch the
sure
premiere?
did. I sure
You
damn
watched the
did.
whole thing. Okay.
The
So
whole thing.
for this exercise, Tyrone's not going to spoil it because I've only seen the first episode, and so we're going to talk about the first episode, and we'll get into all of what happens because there's a lot of questions to be answered at the end of the madness. But Tyrone, you said you enjoyed this. Um, you know, I would like to know overall. Is this something you would recommend for the people who have not yet heard about this, who are coming here today thinking, "What is the madness? What's going on?"
Yeah, I would say I would give it maybe eight or 9 out of 10. If I
Okay.
were to rate it. There's a little bit of a small lull, and then but the title of the show kind of explains it all. Like throughout the whole process, yes, this is maddening, and there's a lot of madness going on. So absolutely, like full on recommend. Get a little taste of this first episode as we talk about it. And then dive right into it. I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
All right, and y'all heard it here first. So make sure you go and watch the badness, or just listen to this recap of episode 1, and maybe that will help you make your decision. Be sure to subscribe, of course, to Recap Kickback by going to recapkickback.com/subscribe, or subscribe right here on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@recapkickback, so that you can make sure that you're caught up with all the stuff we're talking about, but also so you can let us know what it is that you want us to talk about, because we're taking requests in 2025. We definitely want to make sure that we talk about the hottest entertainment and the entertainment news of the week. But also, we're going to highlight the Black entertainers and content creators and all that good stuff every time we get a chance to. You can send us your suggestions at recapkickback@gmail.com or put it right here in the comments. Or if you are a loyal listener to the Recap Kickback, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/recap kickback. I believe is how you get there, or recapkickback.com/Facebook. I don't know. You look, if you want it, email me. We'll hook you up. We can get you in there, and then that way you can be a part of the conversation. Tyrone, how have you been though? It's the new year. What's going
It's
down?
It's been good, man. Holiday was great. I went to a friend's house for it was kind of like honestly it's become a annual New Year's Eve party with some
Mm-hmm.
friends. The kids come over as well. We have a ball. We have a blast. So I'm excited. I'm feeling good and healthy in the new year. You know what I mean? Got my mind
Yeah.
right. Got my body, getting my body right. A little sore right, sore right now. Swole
Mm-hmm.
too, but a
All
little
right.
sore right now. So I'm feeling good about the new year. It's starting off great. How about you, man?
I really wish I was getting my body right. I've done the opposite. I think going into November of last year, I was like a machine. I was going to the gym every day. I was eating clean. You couldn't tell me nothing. Okay, I was a sexy flexy person right there. Okay, it was different. It was a different time though. Thanksgiving hit and it hit hard, and then I had to travel a little bit. I had to travel for work a little bit. Then I had a Christmas. Then New Year's. I let myself go, Ty. So in the new year, I'm going to address my resolution of just trying to be a better Chappelle. Taking a note out of Bryce Isaiah's book and trying to be the best version of myself in 2025. And I hope all the Recap Kickback listeners are as well, because we got to be here, right? We got to take care of
Yeah.
ourselves. We got to make sure we're all in shape, we're eating right, all that good stuff. Because if you're not here, how you gonna listen to Recap Kickback?
I don't know. I don't know how you gonna listen to it if you're not here. They got YouTube in
In
wherever you
heaven?
think you should go after you pass away.
Yeah, they probably got YouTube in heaven. They got Amazon in hell. But that's a conversation for another time. Let's get into the madness. Now, this show, I had no clue what it was about going in. But I guess the brief overview for the people who are like, I still don't know if I want to watch it, but don't really want to get into the spoilers yet, is that Coleman Domingo's character, Muncie Daniels, he is in a maddening situation, if you will. He is a very outspoken Black man who speaks out about racial injustice, and he's a media personality as well. People know him from TV, and he finds himself in a situation where a crime has been committed, and he goes to report the crime, and somehow, just by a crazy turn of events, he ends up the number one suspect, and he doesn't know how. And so that's the quickest version I could give it. Ty, does that really sum up the premiere for you?
That sums up the premiere. I think at the end of the premiere, we get a little bit of a taste of what is going on and a little idea about why this is so significant. But ultimately, we're in the same place that he is in throughout the whole experience. Like you said, Chappell, we don't know why he's in this situation. But it gets interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I was very excited to watch this because I'm a big Colman Domingo fan. If you've been paying attention to Recap Kickback, you know that I talked about The Walking Dead, in which he was a huge character in Fear the Walking Dead, but also this man is a legitimate star of stage and screen. He's incredible. And so seeing him in this role really made me excited to watch it. But Tyrone, did you have a lot of background with Colman Domingo as well?
Walking Dead, like you mentioned, is really the main background that I've seen him on. I've seen him on other stuff, but I can't recall the media that he was on. I just remember seeing his face. He's not an individual that you could forget. Very tall, very handsome fella. And he speaks in a certain tone that is unique and different than others, for sure. And so those are the things that are memorable about him. But I do like his acting chops from what I have seen him on, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think this made it to Recap Kickback, but if you had been listening to me and Mari podcast since prior to the start of Recap Kickback, when we were on our post-show recaps on the Connect podcast beat, we talked about Rustin as he played Bayard Rustin in the Netflix biopic. So I don't know what kind of deal he got going on with Netflix, but it seems like he's in the middle of his run here. And, you know, he was in The Color Purple, which we all heard and talked about ad nauseum when it dropped. You know, he was nominated for a Golden Globe in that performance, I believe, or in I think he got nominated for Sing Sing, you know, last year as well. So it's been a good time to be Colman Domingo, especially in the for Recap Kickback for sure, but also just in the mainstream media. But Tyrone, in January 2024, it was announced that Colman Domingo was cast to play Joe Jackson in the musical biopic Michael Jackson, or Michael, about the life of the singer Michael Jackson, that will drop this year in 2025. What you think about Colman Domingo as Joe? Because I'm gonna get a good hate into him if he really played Joe Jackson how I remember Joe Jackson.
Well, we got a good hate into him because of Fear of the Walking Dead, because he was an asshole on that for sure.
Yeah, but I love to hate him there. You know, it was like he sucked, but he was also very entertaining. He was like a cartoon.
He was entertaining. I think. I mean, I honestly don't see I see the vision from an acting standpoint, but Joe is short. Joe Jackson ain't tall. Joe.
Yeah. You know, that always gets me when people talking about biopics, is that like, it's like we be like, that don't really look like them. It's like, okay, look, it's like there's a Venn diagram of like, how much does this person resemble them, and then how good of an actor can we get, and then you gotta find the middle.
You gotta find that middle piece.
You gotta find it.
I think that's what they did, because to be honest, I think what goes into, and I'm sure most people who are listening, I'm hopeful that most people listening understand the background of Joe Jackson as a father and what he did. And I think a part of the reason of his angry or whatever is kind of like a short man complex. So that's why I'm kind of harping on it a little bit. But other than that, I don't see a big issue. I think he'll probably do the job for sure.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to talk about it on Recap Kickback for sure when the time comes.
Yeah.
So we have Colman Domingo opening the show with kind of like they do this kind of weird flashback thing where we see him laying in the woods, apparently lost and tired. He's breathing heavy, and it's hard to really tell what happened, but somehow he wanders his way back to civilization and comes into a bar in which it's very clear he's the only Black person around, potentially for miles, as he stumbles over to the cops, and we get flashes of the crazy events that brought him here. Him being the only Black person, Tyrone, is going to be a big point in this show for sure. We talked about how he is someone who is very outspoken about civil rights, specifically for Black people. But to me, you can feel the racial tension throughout this first episode immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just from that particular initial flashback, right, you've got this Black individual in an area that he's the only one. He looks particularly disheveled or dirty, you know what I mean? And then, of course, the cops that he come across are two white cops. And so that builds, it kind of tells you what we're getting into already without you even having to go further in the story. Like if you're watching that scene and you're actually truly like paying attention, you know there is that is a part of this. But what becomes unique for sure, as we learn the rest of the first episode in this situation, is that it is not the only part of it that causes tension, and that's why I like so much about this show for sure.
Okay, so we'll find out that Colman's character, Muncie Daniels, is some type of jiu-jitsu fighter, but he also works for CNN, which is why he's in the public eye. And he has a character close to him who I believe is his lawyer, is played by Dion Cole, of all people, Quessy.
Yeah.
Now, I know Dion Cole, right? I know Dion Cole, but I really enjoy Dion Cole, the comedian, and also the serious actor. It's fun to see Dion Cole being funny, but I was very impressed with how he was acting in this first episode. Because if you told me he wasn't a comedian, I would have believed you.
Yeah, what was the what's that show? It's got a second season that Dion Cole is the lead on, and it's like his cousin or his uncle or somebody gets into some stuff with some money and some drugs that he has to kind of overcome. I cannot.
Is it the
Oh
one
man,
on
I wish I could
BET?
remember. Yes, I think it is on BET.
I think it's Average Joe. Is it Average Joe?
Average Joe. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw like 4 or 5 episodes of Average Joe a while ago. It's been a long time. That's why I couldn't recall all of the information. But that was my first kind of entry into Dion Cole being, like you said, a serious actor. And it's interesting because what he does so well and so seemingly, because of the way that he presents his humor, is he presents his humor pretty much dryly. And so even in the tone of even with the serious tone, he has the humor that's attached to it, and it's almost natural, and it doesn't break from what the instance of the show is about, right? It would be different if it was somebody like a Jim Carrey who's just goofy. This is a serious show. And so his goofiness wouldn't be something that you can attach to the show and it makes sense. It would be almost dejected from it, right? But there's an attachment to it, and it doesn't take away from the seriousness of the show. So I thought his role and how he played it, it really shows well for what we need for the show.
Yeah. Are you really familiar with Dion Cole, the comedian? Like, did you grow up watching him? Because I remember a lot of Dion Cole coming on TV, watching BET, Comic View, whatever the case may be.
I'm in a space where if you start talking about the stand-up, or if you start talking about the show or anything, then I can start to recall it and say, oh yeah, I remember that. And then I might say some lines or something from it. But off the top of my head, I would say no. But yes, I know Dion Cole first as a comedian for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch Comedy Central. I used to watch BET. And people who will always question, like, Chappell, why are you so goofy? It's because I grew up watching stuff that I had no business watching. Laugh-A-Palooza, of course, Def Comedy Jam, stuff like that. And so he was always around. I remember when he was on Wild 'N Out. I'm so proud of him, right? I loved talking about and watching him on Blackish, and then even seeing him in serious roles like The Color Purple, and The Harder They Fall, So he's everywhere. I'm loving the Dion Cole renaissance, whatever this moment he's having. I'm hoping that it continues because I was very surprised to see him in this role as Muncie Daniels' kind of right-hand man, throughout. We also learned that I think, he's trying to write a book. Right. And as someone who is trying to write a book, people might later on start to insinuate in this whole series that maybe he's got a imagination on him, and and they start to question, even in this episode, I could tell that this is going to be something that makes people potentially question his sanity, but he's got a lot going on. He ends up stopping by to visit his son as well, Demetrius, played by Thaddeus J. Mixon, who I actually wasn't really familiar with, but I enjoyed him in this as well, along with his, I guess his estranged wife. Are they divorced, Ty?
Separated. Yeah.
Yeah, Elena is his wife, who he is separated from, and it looks like they're just co-parenting. So everything starts off kind of chill, right? Until Muncie Daniels decides that he's going to go out into the woods. Now, was his goal to go out there and just vacation? Is he trying to write his book? Why does he go out in the woods in the first place?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about his presence on the media channel, which is the news channel, which is CNN, is that he's not a top build analyst, right? He's actually the backup for the lead analyst who is out. And he did such a great job that Dion Cole's role as his lawyer is basically telling him, yo, this is a great opportunity. They liked it. They're thinking about giving you your own show. But because he doesn't want to kind of break who he is, and he knows that in order to get his own show, you got to kind of give up some stuff. That's why he's writing the book. So as you mentioned, he goes to meet his family before he goes out there to write a book. But that is the purpose of him going out there in the woods, is kind of get some free time, write this book, and have this ready just in case the plan to be the lead analyst or have his own show doesn't work out like he plans to.
Oh, gotcha. So this is kind of like his plan B, or at least this is 1A to have going on.
Exactly. Right.
I totally relate to that. You got to have multiple irons in the fire sometime. You never know where life is going to lead you. And it leads him to the woods, and he's approached by a white man in a pickup truck. And this interaction is just another one of those interactions that seems normal, but it felt a little microaggressive to me. I was like, I ain't like this. It was pleasant, but he says to him, oh, I know you from TV. And he's like, yeah, I'm on CNN. He says, yeah, damn, you got some opinions on you. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, because I'm on CNN. Look, we're podcasters. If somebody came to me and was like, Chappell, you got some opinions. I'm like, yeah, and? I would be waiting on the punchline. Like, what are you saying? Don't you have opinions? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a podcaster, but you too have opinions.
It definitely gives off that you have strong opinions. Like, that's like the adjective that is missing from that statement is strong. And if you do add the adjective strong in front of opinions, that gives off the indication that some of your opinions I might not agree with. You know what I mean? Now, the curious thing about it is when he said it, he kind of said it with a smile. Yeah. And we don't know if that's a good smile, if that's a bad smile. Now as a viewer, you didn't like it, but as a viewer, right? This is kind of where we get into the point where we start to think about, oh shit, it's going down this road, right? We've seen stuff like this before on other shows and such, and so you're automatically kind of going back, oh, this going down your road, and you automatically kind of flash back into the beginning scene where he's in front of two cops and he's the only black guy and he's obviously coming out of the woods. And in this moment, he's in the woods. Matter of fact, he just came from running before he met the guy. So something is going to go down and you feel like it's going to happen with this guy, but you just don't know how, what, why, all that stuff. So that's where we really started to get into it. In episode 1, but really past episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about to go down. Once he gets to the cabin and the power goes out, right? So got to go figure out what's wrong. He goes outside to the little barn situation, but there's no answer to the electricity problem. There isn't even a signal. So he walks down to where the man in the pickup truck lives because he said, hey, let me know if you need something. If you need something, feel free to stop by. So he needs something. He stops by. I mean, it makes sense to me. Well, but when he gets there, he can't even find him. So if the man, you are next door to the man who says, if you need something, stop by. And then when you need something, you just not gonna stop by.
You just was triggered by, man, you got some opinions.
Yeah, I was.
Right. So if you're triggered by that, right? Like, don't you have some nervousness of
Oh,
going
yeah.
to
You stop by with a gun, you know? Stop, stop by with an axe, you know, or maybe not an axe, you know, but just
you
I
got a
would be
woodcutter
nervous.
axe out there somewhere, you know what I mean?
I would be nervous, Ty, but I mean, at this point, what else should he be doing to fix his electricity issue?
It seems cold. It seems
Mm-hmm.
cold because to answer your question, the thing that I would do is wait till the morning. That's what I would do, but it seems
Uh-huh.
cold. It does seem cold. And so maybe I would feel obligated, like I have to do this, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I'm necessarily going over there like without a weapon or without some
Ah,
sort of, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm calling up somebody and talking to them on the phone at the same time, because
oh yeah.
maybe in this instance you don't want to be the black guy in the woods out there coming to somebody's door with an axe, you know what I mean, or a gun. You don't want to do that. So maybe you're on the phone with somebody at the same time. You know what I
He ain't had
mean?
no
Like
signal.
those are things that I'm thinking about.
He ain't had no signal.
He didn't have no signal.
He didn't have no signal.
He ain't
You
have no
know,
signal.
when the power goes out where I currently live, I do the thing. You know, I'm country as hell. I know this about me. I do the thing where I go stand out on the porch and I look to see if everybody else power out. I'm like, see who else kind of peeking out the window. See who else. Like I kind of go eyeball it. But I have never, to this day, I've never gone and knocked on my neighbor door and been like, "Y'all good?"
Absolutely. Absolutely
Never,
not.
not once. So this is what happens when you end up in the woods. Okay, there's probably something to learn from this. You know, straight up. Um, but when he gets there, he finds this little sauna type building, and it has the door open. And when he goes to the door, he finds a crime scene, a body that is chopped up and mangled and left on the floor. They look like Dexter in there. There's plastic laying down, you know, and this is the guy, right? This is the guy
Yeah,
that
he
helped them
sees
with
his
the truck.
face, like he sees his head. Yeah.
But yeah. So now Muncie is like, oh God, you know, there's probably a lot of things going through his head. One, this man is dead. This is crazy, right? Like, who's ever walked up on a chopped up body and seen the person that you just talked to a couple hours ago, like dead? It's probably a very traumatic moment he's having.
Yeah.
But if I'm also thinking, are they gonna think this was me? They can't think this was me, right? Like, I
You
know,
have to think that. You
yeah.
have to think that. There's no
Even
way
when
you
you report
cannot think that.
Yeah, because you have to report this, and then you also have to find like God. I mean, anybody who could tell like that you can blame this on, because as far as they know, you know, right now you're the only one out in the woods with this mangled body. He sees nobody else, but they see him, and it's like the people who did this, or their henchmen or whoever, are right there as he's finding the crime scene, and they are trying to chase him down. Like they're in hot pursuit. He's running for his life, and this kind of takes us back right to the beginning scene where we find him struggling to get to those cops in that diner.
Yes, yes. And furthermore, it takes you to the beginning of the scene where you see him running. You see him running twice, right, in the
Mhm.
beginning of the episode. And then you also see him doing the jujitsu stuff, right? So that gives off the impression that he has some sort of way or ability to either outrun these folks or to defend himself. And that's what we
Mhm.
get into. That's what we get into, right? They chase him through the woods. He's outrunning them for the most part. But at some point, he gets into some water, goes under. There's one of the henchmen that's there, right? He hears them yell out a particular name. I can't remember. I think the name was Ant, is what he hears them yell out,
Yeah.
right? And then Ant is there, or at least one of them is there. He goes underwater, comes back up, chokes behind him, right? Get into a
Yeah.
little struggle, right? Do that little jiu-jitsu move, and then
Mhm.
hit him in the neck with a little pin jab. Bow.
Yeah.
And then Ant's done, right? And
Mhm.
so that's where you kind of see him get back to the beginning of the scene where he finds some way to get away, ends up on the tree, finds some way to rest, passes out. Now, this is the question that I have for you, right? Are
Okay.
you, I don't know. I mean, obviously well, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like this. Maybe you
I ain't
have.
never been in a situation like this. I've never been in a situation like this. Nope. Sorry, I can't relate.
But is this reality? Is the adrenaline so dead at this point once you finally feel, I guess, some sort of comfort that I got away, that you just completely pass out? Because I feel like watching it, and I'm just a viewer, that I can't pass out in that moment. I can't do it. I don't know.
Well, he got stabbed as well. You know, Muncie is not unharmed in this fight, right? So not only is he running, but he also hides, like you said, he hides in the water. And I was very happy with him. I was like, oh yeah, he's underwater. They're never gonna get him. They started shooting into the water. I said, oh no, they really trying to get this man. Like I thought that was the cheat code. Like just hide in the water, they'll pass by. Right. No, they want this man dead. So I think once he gets stabbed, I think that's really what takes him out. You know, like just the trauma of all of this is happening. He's running, he's tired, he's in the woods, and his body is in turmoil too. So I would like to believe that I would have been able to stick it out, but he also doesn't know where he's going. He's just running in the woods. At some point, you gotta sleep, you know, at some point. And he just shuts down. But that's a big problem because there's so much that happens when he passes out. For one, he drops his pen and his book that he's going to be using to write. And I mean, that obviously could be used as crucial evidence moving forward. And then he starts to make himself, you know, to the cabin that we see him with the cops, but it's morning time. So it's tomorrow. And now he's telling the story about what happened yesterday as if it is a dire situation. Like, you got to believe this. You got to come hear it. And they're like, all right, let's see about it. But I didn't like any of his interaction with the officers, Ty.
No. In that moment, it's hard, but you have to give off some sort of level of innocence there, right? Mm-hmm. The stammering in the voice and the pauses in the story, like that can't happen. Can I say that I would think about those stuff in the moment as I'm finding my way? Probably not. Like no. I'm just trying to find my way at that point. So it's hard to blame him for that aspect of it. But what we can put some blame on is, as you mentioned, the interactions of the cops. At one point, one of the cops gets there to the cabin of the dead chopped up man. Mm-hmm. And he says, we're not going to have to blame you or arrest you for this, right? Like, what kind of statement is that to make? Like, if you see him as a suspect, don't put him on blast in front of his face like that. Like, you can at least say it to the damn cop that's your co-cop. You ain't got to say it to him. Like, that's outrageous.
It's like they're dangling his freedom in front of him. Like, right. You know, we could pin this on you, but that would be right. It's like, whoa, hold on, slow down. I guess it is fortunate for him. There is no crime scene when he gets there. I mean, there's no evidence at all. The chopped up body is missing. The plastic, the Dexter crime scene, it's all gone. And so they can't immediately be like, I think you did this. You're under arrest. But now they kind of think he's crazy. You know, you're a writer. You probably have an active imagination, right? It's like, oh, now y'all playing in my face. See, this is where I'm like, oh, okay. And it's hard to know. It's like, do they know him from CNN and they hate his political views? And so now they're giving him a hard time. Are they the cops and they're just giving him a hard time because that's what cops be doing? Are they white and racist? Or do they legitimately think this man could be outside of his mind because he said, come here. He acted like it was the most urgent thing in the world. And there is nothing to corroborate his story. So many questions were flashing through my head for sure.
Those are the perfect questions. And if, as a person who has seen the whole show, I don't think you missed any question that you should ask in that moment, because all of those questions are answered as you watch the rest of the season or the show. So those are great questions to ask. Those are the questions, if you are listening to this and you haven't seen it and you just kind of listen to our outline of it, these are the same questions that you should also have ringing in your head. And if you do watch it, to determine how did it get answered, who, what, when, where, how, I mean, and why. Yeah, for sure.
To me, I'm already looking at it, you know, like I said, I know that he ain't crazy, right? Because we saw it through his point of view. So I'm already kind of looking at it like, now why y'all give this man a hard time?
Or could he be crazy?
Or is he crazy and we crazy with him because we seeing it through his point of view,
it's
right?
It's called the madness.
It is called the madness. Maybe he lost his mind a long time ago. And his or shit, is this the book? You know, is he gonna wake at the end of this and gonna be like the end? You know, like who knows? But when we see them get to the tires of his car, the police officer says, maybe you ran something over. Now, sir, these tires are slashed.
That was egregious. That's egregious. Like, face. Are you a cop?
In my face. Right.
Are you a cop?
What you doing? Yeah. You acted like a cop. So
We need
they're
to train
leaving.
them better.
Right. Give them $1 million for training. Okay. The cops are leaving every option open. They're like, well, it could be anything, right? You say you saw a murder and got chased, and then you went to a diner the next day. Like, why did you wait a day to report it? They're asking him some real questions, but also we are looking at this through his eyes. We're like, man, y'all playing in this man's face.
Right.
So eventually they get him a tow truck. And then the driver of the tow truck says, we found a tracker on your car. And the tracker has a signal. See, that's my thing. How the tracker have a signal but not the phone? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. The tracker can track me out here. But my phone, what signal is the tracker using? I would see at this point. I'm looking at everybody crazy now, because what's going on? Am I crazy? Am I the mad one?
Maybe the tracker won't necessarily pick up until he's out of the woods. That's possible. Like they put it on there
it got
afterwards.
to the woods. Oh,
right. And then once you get out the woods, they're like, okay, this is where he's at because the tracker's working now.
Oh, see, I thought somebody tracked him to the woods. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no,
yeah,
I'm thinking
they tracking him out of the woods.
Yeah, I'm thinking after they went to clean, because when the cops get there, right, we see there's no body there, right? So they obviously went back, cleaned up,
slash
did
the
what
tires.
they supposed to do, and probably slash his tires, and then put the tracker on there once they slash his tires.
Yeah, and so he's clearly like they messing with him. Somebody's got his worst interest in mind. They tried to kill him. They're trying to track him, and he gets to his truck and he checks it to see if there's any type of lead to what is going on. Now he eventually gets home and he notices stuff has been going on in his house too. The family of the picture of his family is posted in the wrong direction. Like he has to turn it around. The back door is ajar. It's clear it's been broken in, and the cops come in. And they're like, well, all this stuff is true, but you got a little weed in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And guess what? Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
It's a black cop this time.
Yeah. Well, he should be safe, right? Black cop. He got his back. I'm sure he got his back. I'm sure it'll be all right. He's got a black cop in there, Hey,
nope. He's second guessing. He's second guessing him. They didn't already talk to the police, the wood police folks or whatever, and got a little report from them. Like none of the cops are working for him. None of the cops are on his side. You know what I mean? So what are we doing here? Like, why are we in this space where the cops are second guessing the people that called him?
Right.
I reached out to you.
I called you and you about to arrest me. What's going on? The only lead he has is that he does have a name potentially of something like a lead. Dick Silk. Now, the cop and I had the same exact joke at the same time, so I'm gonna give the cop a little grace. I said, that sounds like a porn name. And they met me right there at that corny ass joke. So maybe that's an L I gotta hold, okay? But now they're questioning his sanity, his reliability, because you telling me Dick Silk murdered somebody and then snuck into your house, broke in, planted the weed, did all this, turned the picture around, blah, 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 and then disappeared. Okay, fine. I guess that's believable. So he has no clue what's going on, but he's got his boy, Dion Cole, Quessy, says, you need to go check into a hotel and get out the way because they're going to try to pin everything on you. Like there's no other suspect. There is no Dick Silk around. It's you, baby. So you need to get out of here and figure this out. And he says, as your lawyer, you probably, I have to tell you, legally, you should not get involved with this. You should let the cops do their job.
Yeah. Yeah. You're looking suspect. This is not going to end well for you. Just
let the process
leave it be.
Let the process
don't bother with it. And honestly, that was a question that I was going to ask you. Like, when you found the tracker, would you have given it to the cop?
And it's really tough because in this situation, the cops are giving you some energy like you shouldn't be trusting them, right?
Facts.
I have been told my entire life, you don't talk to the cops unless you got to, unless you have to. Matter of fact, you really just call your lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And I think if anything, that's his first mistake, right? Like when he gets out of town and he gets to the diner, I'm thinking his first step, instead of going straight to the police, he needs to go straight to a phone. Can I get to a phone?
He did, and he put the phone down, right?
Yeah,
he did.
He needs to be calling his lawyer. First and foremost, call your lawyer. And of course, he's in a ridiculous situation, right?
Right.
He's just looking for help. He saw a chopped up body. He's not thinking about that. But in retrospect, the lawyer and him could have been on the phone while he talked to the cops, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. But I get to see it all. So I know that. And so the lawyer says, stay out the way legally. But it's not looking good. You might want to help with this investigation a little bit if you got it in you. You know, you need to find us somebody else's name who could be involved with this. So he follows the lead to Simon Home Furnishings, and because this is I guess where Dick Silk is supposed to work. He had found his card in the pickup truck.
Yep, in the truck. Yep.
Yeah, and he's looking for Mark Simon, but there's also like a suspicious car kind of following him too. You know, at this point, I'm like, all right, we get it. They after you. You know, are they still tracking him at this point? I really don't know. Or did they know the lead was going to lead them there? Regardless, when they get there, they meet the customer service guy, and he says Mark ain't even here. You know, the whole reason you came here to find Mark Simon is not here. But I liked how he interacted with the customer service guy, because it's very clear that this man is this man is I guess he's trying to get information out of him without letting him know who he is. You know, he's like, I don't want to tell him, like, one, that I'm a famous person, but two, you know, that also, you know, I got a lot going on. I don't know who to trust right now. So he pretends that he likes hockey. And I said, now, if I'm a customer service man, like, what do you mean by that? No, I'm joking. So yes, a very fun interaction, because Muncie, he's sharp, you know, because he's a journalist. He's used to trying to get information out of people. But watching him kind of follow the pieces, like almost like a little amateur detective, was one of the better parts of the episode to me, because we see how he gets a name and how he ends up running that information back to his wife. Yeah. And so he ends up waiting outside his wife's home, just sitting outside on the driveway, kind of just waiting. But Ty, ain't no black folks in this neighborhood.
Hey, we are running into the same situation. Like the show is setting us up to know what is happening, right? He's wherever he goes, he is in a situation where he is the onlyest one.
Yeah.
He is the onlyest one. And so now it's kind of like, as he's sitting outside of this home, seemingly in a suburban neighborhood where he's not particularly a normal fixture in the neighborhood, because as people are walking by, they're noticing him. They're looking at him. They're running by, they're walking by. They're like, who's this guy? Right? Yeah. Why is he here? You know what I mean? And so now the question is, are there not any other black folks in this neighborhood? Or like, is it because I'm outside of this particular home? Like, what is it about me and my presence here that is causing this disruption? But lo and behold, Mark Simon's wife and the two kids pull up in the driveway. And so we see that first interaction between Muncie and Mark Simon's wife here.
Yeah, and it's funny to me because I also was questioning, is it just because this man is on CNN? You know, like if you was walking by and you saw a CNN correspondent, you're like, Anderson Cooper, what you doing over there? You know, like what you doing in these people's driveway? What you doing over here? So, you know, for him.
But are you doing that with a smile or a frown?
I don't know. It depends on which CNN correspondent it is. Like, I see you over there. You know what I'm saying? So, look, I'm just saying, everybody not going to get a smile. Some people I'm going to be looking at kind of crazy, especially depending on the day. It's like, what did you say this morning? Because I still ain't forgot, you know? So, it was a situation where I was like, all right, I don't really know what's going on. But like you said, the Simons show up. And what is Mark's wife's name? Is it Lucy Snipes, right? Simon. Lucy, she shows up, and when they're talking, it's like, at first he's trying to explain to her what happened, but also this is a lot of information to throw at somebody, right? Like, you basically telling me that my husband got chopped up in the woods and disappeared, and you just here just telling me that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you told the cops, they ain't like, it's a lot to throw at this lady.
Yeah. Now the key thing with this interaction is he didn't really tell her that he saw chopped up. He was just like, he's gone. I saw him hurt, I believe or injured is the terminology that he used there, right? So he's not giving off that, huh?
He said, I'm concerned about him, you know?
Concerned about him, right? So he's not giving off that, oh no, homeboy dead, right?
Right.
Like, he chopped up in little pieces. I saw his head separated from his body. Like,
over there, it's wild. Yeah.
Right. You know, he gone, you know. So he's not giving off that. But also, even though it's a lot of information, like her mannerisms towards him is more than just, you're giving me a lot of information. You're telling me about my son's father. You're telling me about my husband. And you're checking in on that. It is more than just that. It's more like, almost like immediately, why are you here? Type of thing. And not like, why are you here? I'm inquisitive. It's like, no, like, you need to go. Why are you here? Type of thing. And that's the stance that she gives off, even before he even introduces himself or gives any information, because he's like, kids, go in the house. Go.
Right. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. She does tell him, well, my husband does have enemies, right? And she says he's an asshole. And she also says, I ain't with him in any way, right? So she's trying to let him know, like, not only do I not know where he is, but I'm also not related to him right now. Like, that's not a thing. And this guy sucks, and people want to hurt him. And so it's like not shocking to her necessarily that he might be dead. She seemed less surprised that her husband could be in danger than she is that Muncie is standing in front of her in her front yard, you know?
Facts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, her new boyfriend pulls up, and Muncie's like, all right, I gotta go. And so we see Muncie later on at a diner nursing his wound when an FBI agent just appears. And this, Ty, I know you didn't really watch all the Boondocks, but it's like a recurring theme in the Boondocks whenever Huey Freeman is onto something, like his secret imaginary FBI agent will just like show up and just start talking to him. I don't know why they put that in the Boondocks, but it's so funny. I screamed.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Me and Fifi watched some. Yeah.
Yeah, I screamed when it happened. So he's.
Do you recognize this? Do you recognize him?
This Puerto Rican man?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Where is he from?
He is the druggy cop from American Gangster.
Shut up. No, he's not.
The long-haired one.
Wow.
That's him.
Swerve.
That's him.
Wow. Yeah, John Ortiz. I hadn't looked into this. I believe he's in the Fast and Furious franchise as well. But no, I definitely did not recognize him from American Gangster. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He was in American Fiction as well, which we talked about on the Connect on Post-Show Recaps before starting the Recap Kickback podcast. So it's got a lot of... I'm surprised I don't recognize him because I didn't watch a lot of stuff with him in it. I'm checking out his IMDb page right now. But yeah, he caught me off guard. And I got a good hate into him very quickly, Ty. I don't know. It's something about the FBI coming in and being like, so you did this, right? Like, I didn't like that.
I don't like... I guess aggression is a tactic, I guess, because that seems to be what all of these authoritative figures do. And maybe because the word authority is in that term that I use, but there's always some sort of aggressiveness, like bluntness, extra forwardness that is attached to initial interactions. There's never no soft play. No, and I don't know why. Maybe I need to read more books about it. Maybe that's a thing that works more than it doesn't. I don't know, but they always do it. He definitely comes in there with that type of energy, for sure.
Yeah, and he don't really actually care about what's going on in the cabin. He like, so I heard you got this thing going on with the cabin, but I think it affects my life, and let me explain to you how. It turns out that Mark, the person whose house he went to, Mark Simon. Well, he thought he went to his house, but he went to his job. Mark Simon was a member of a white supremacy group called The Forge, and it goes deeper than that. He also has a newsletter written by Brother 14 that has 5 million subscribers, and Mark is brother 14. He is the face of like this online conservative ass, like super racist, like sub
Neo-Nazi,
community.
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 million subscribers. And so if he been talking trash about Muncie, then ain't no wonder why everybody's looking at him crazy. You know what I'm saying? This man has 5 million different followers who probably hate you based on the stuff that he's been saying about you. And so we get a lot of information in a short amount of time about who Colman Domingo's character Muncie could be up against. You know, this is a person who is like the face of someone who would directly antagonize his entire being.
Yeah. Listen, everything that we talked about comes into play right here. We start to realize the situation. This man is a white supremacist. Point blank, period. He's a white supremacist. And he's not only a white supremacist, he's the lead white supremacist for a group of white supremacists.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he
the
is.
whitest supremacist, you know,
whitest supremacist. And so when you start to put two and two together, right, you're like, okay, he's in this neighborhood outside of his wife's or his family's home. Now you understand why people are looking at him, right? And it might be attached to the fact that they know he's a CNN analyst that has opinions, as was mentioned earlier, right? But he is fighting the death of a white supremacist as a black man on CNN with opinions.
Yeah.
And that's when the madness starts.
Right. For all the reasons you just said, he kind of looks like a suspect here, you know, because like, wouldn't it be just convenient if this white supremacist ended up dead and you didn't have to deal with him no more, you know? So the FBI agent's kind of like, I'm not saying you did it, but it looked like you did. And if you got some information, you know, shoot it my way because I can help you, but you got to help me help you first. And so Muncie has to go get his leg looked at from when he got stabbed and ran through the woods, goes to the hospital, and now it feels like the information is starting to spread. Okay. The word of this white supremacist who we still have not seen his body. Okay. The man is dead. The body disappeared. But the streets know that he's dead. People are coming up to him in the hospital and be like, so heard you know, brother 14. How that happened? You know, so they are aware that Muncie is tied to this, and he can't go anywhere secret tie because he's famous. They know him from TV.
He's famous. Yeah. Like, let's call it for what it is here, right? In America, you know, if there is some sort of white supremacist group, typically that white supremacist group has ties into places politically, authoritatively, that will keep them either secret or keep them in power or some sort of there's some sort of ties there. This is not new. We saw it with the Ku Klux Klan. There was police officers that were Ku Klux Klan members. There were judges that were Ku Klux Klan members. And so when you hear 5 million subscribers, and you hear a group, you have to understand that there's probably some ties into some sort of power structure that is hard to get away from. And so, yes, people know where he is. That's why he had a tracker on the car. Now, he got rid of the tracker, but that doesn't mean he got rid of eyes. And so they whisper in his ear, well, what about your family? And so now triggers and alarms are set off, right? I'm not the only one in trouble here.
Yeah. And so he has to go get the family. He's like, all right, I got to get them to escape. He tells them to go check in to the Days Inn. And you know, life is hard when you're at the Days Inn. His wife is looking upside his head, and she starts to speculate that they might have planted the rumors on him. Now, while on his way over there, I think at some point he runs into a journalist, Ty. This lady, she is a conspiracy theorist as well.
Yeah, she's a conspiracy theorist. She has her own kind of you could call it a YouTube channel, right? Where she kind of says and reads the news and you know, kind of draws conclusions from those things. But she is very interested in hearing his story.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has heard about it. And what we are coming to, what we can draw conclusion here or assume is that some of the conspiracies that she may have expressed on her YouTube channel will give her the idea that she's crazy, but also clearly she's in the know if she's coming
Mm-hmm.
to his car to talk to him about it. And
Yeah.
so he takes her information. He's a little hesitant though, because he's of the mindset that shorty crazy.
Yeah, she's nuts. She's nuts because he goes and he looks at her other content, and it's one of, for me. I do this all the time where I'll find somebody who got some content, or they'll have like an interesting opinion. Like, damn, you got some opinions, and then I'll go look at their other opinions, and I'll say, oh, okay, nah, you know, my type of, nah, I can't do it because you're a little too far out there for me. I gotta reel you back in a little bit. Like, it's like you had me in the first half, but I can't really put too much stock in you because you're saying this other crazy stuff, right?
Right.
And so she's the only one who really wants to hear him out. And so his wife's like, you gotta call it. You need to call
You gotta try it.
You gotta try it because who else is going to hear you out?
Right.
The next day at the Continental Breakfast, we hear on the TV she's hospitalized and she had a heart attack at a Philly hotel. I was thinking, well, that's a coincidence. Don't love that. You know, did someone give her a heart attack? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started asking questions, you know, what is going on? And so he doesn't know if he could trust anyone at this point, including a man who speeds off in a black SUV after he finishes his breakfast. And Muncie ends up going downstairs to look for a switch controller for his son. And he finds the other part of this broken G-Shock watch that they accused him of having with the initials MS on it. But there is no way this watch should have been in the car. So who is trying to do this to Muncie? The episode ends in a cliffhanger, and we have to ask ourselves a bunch of questions about what's about to happen next on The Madness. Tyrone, that was the first episode. You said you enjoyed the ride on The Madness as a full season. Well, how would you say it is? Is it like a fast-paced show? Does it keep you in the know a lot longer? How long are we going to be asking all these questions?
Yeah. So not how much longer are we going to be asking all these questions? It's not until it's an 8-episode season. It's really not until maybe episode 6 where you kind of stop asking questions. To describe the season, every episode has a twist or turn in the story.
Gotcha.
And it's not a situation where it becomes convoluted or confusing. And it's not a situation where it becomes unrealistic. It's just another twist and the turn in the story that turns you away from I've seen this before to, oh, this some new shit.
I ain't never seen nothing like this before. This is crazy. Interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me was the soundtrack. Okay, because we got Use Me by Bill Withers, we got Excursions by a Tribe Called Quest, and we got Don't Say Nothing About the Roots all in one episode. So if nothing else was going to make me click next on this, it definitely was going to be the music, but I really enjoyed the episode as a whole. I got a bunch of questions. I'm sure all of you who listen to this and who have not watched it got a bunch of questions too, so make sure you go check it out. And if you have watched it, don't spoil it, okay? Don't put it in the comments, because maybe Tyrone and I should come back and complete it, you know, talk about it as a whole after I get caught up. How about that, Ty? You feel good about that?
I feel real good about that, right? And we don't have to we could do episode by episode, but we don't necessarily have to. I think there's space, even with all the twists and turns that come into it. I think this episode probably has the most amount of questions because I feel like as you go a little bit further in, previous episode questions are answered while new questions are approached. And so we could do it a bit in a lump sum due to that for sure.
All right. Well, let us know if you enjoyed the recap of The Madness. And if you want to hear us talk about the whole season as a whole, put that in the YouTube comments or email us directly at recapkickback@gmail.com. You can also contact us on any of our social media platforms at Recap Kickback, including Blue Sky now. You're more likely to probably get a response on Blue Sky or Instagram, but you know, the Twitter account is still up. You can use it however you want. Put it in the Facebook group. Let us know if you want us to cover The Madness or whatever else you want us to talk about in 2025, because we got a lot of year ahead of us and a lot of content to cover. Tyrone, thank you so much for being here once again, brother. It's a happy new year having you back.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad this is the first show/movie for us to talk about. It was one that I was super excited to get on top of, a Golden Globe nominee it by itself, even though it's newer in the season. So now this is a great start to the new year, and I'm excited to get going again and get some more great content to talk about.
Yeah, and Tyrone, tell everybody where they can find you in the meantime, what you got going on, and where they can follow you if you want to be followed.
Yeah, you can follow me on the Blue Sky, man. I'm at Call Tyrone. I got rid of that other shit. So I don't be on there. Like, you might find my name, but I ain't responding to shit. I ain't been on that in about 2-3 months.
It's ghetto.
So
I said Amazon Prime is in hell, but so is Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, hit me up on the Blue Sky at Call Tyrone whatever the other shit, because that shit is way too long. So if you find Call Tyrone, that's me. But yeah, follow me. I'll talk to you on there for sure.
Yeah, and of course, you can keep up with all the content we have here and more by following me at Recap Kickback on all social media platforms. If you want to keep up with some of the other content, Mari and I talked about the 3888 today. Well, it should be out in your podcast feeds this week, and so check that out. Gia and I are still finishing our series on how to ruin Christmas. We talked about the wedding, and this week we're talking about the funeral, so look out for that. We got Abbott Elementary coverage coming with the crossover from the podcast called Crying and Laughing, starring Dr. Amanda and Ariel, and so they will be on to talk about this week's Abbott Elementary as Gia and I reboot and revamp our coverage of Abbott Elementary this season. And then you can catch me on all other, in all different areas on RHAP. We know Scripted TV, we know realitytv.com, all that good stuff. But that was great. Tyrone, this was amazing. Check out the madness, and then stay tuned next time for what we have coming up next on Recap Kickback. Until then, peace.
I've been trapped behind Maria, isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreamers. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.